Hey everyone, my name is Dillon Gonzalez. I'm the editorial director of GeekVibesNation.com and also co-host of the Home Dance Film Festival podcast. And welcome to a brand new episode of No Streaming Required, your weekly deep dive into all the latest and greatest in the world of physical media. Thank you all for tuning in. I have another terrific episode for you this week. I have a lot more major studio titles than I typically cover, but rest assured, I have plenty of boutique labels like classics like Arrow Video, Eureka, Radiance Films, 88 Films. Just a little bit of something for everyone, I think, in this one especially. So I'm really excited to dig into it. I'm going to start off with one of my rare instances where I'm talking about a DVD release, and that is for one of my favorite sitcoms, one of the most popular sitcoms on these days, the third season of Abbott Elementary from Warner Brothers. Now, this was the season that was produced right after in the midst of the writer's strike, so it's a little bit shorter than the seasons were intending to be. So this is 14 episodes. It lists 13, but the first part is like a double length episode, so technically 14 episodes. Just one of the funniest shows on network television. It's for those who don't know, it's a mockumentary format similar to The Office, set in a public school and all of the hijinks that happen with the teachers and students and everything. It's a really, really funny show. I love it so much. This is a really great season. I love how it builds up to the finale, which ends at a very pivotal point for a relationship between two of the characters. But throughout, there's just plenty of just great episodes, classic episodes with all your favorite characters. So I'm glad this got a physical media release. I wish it was a Blu-ray release, but I have to say, for modern television on DVD, they do look very nice. I was shocked by how good this looked compared to, I usually watch this on a Hulu stream. This looked pretty close to the stream I get from Hulu. Now, would I prefer this on Blu-ray? Of course. I hope whenever this series ends, probably years in the future, I hope the complete series will eventually be released on Blu-ray. But for now, if I don't want to have to deal with the streaming, which no streaming required, DVD is a good option for this one. There's no special features, unfortunately, but it just has all the episodes in pretty good audiovisual quality. So if you're a fan of laughing, Abbott Elementary is a really, really funny show, and make sure to check it out. If you need to sample it on Hulu to understand if it's for you, make sure to do so. But if you like it, these are wise investments. It's been a good quality show throughout from the beginning. So really, really great stuff. Heading to my first Best Picture nominee of the year from this most recent year. This is from Searchlight Pictures and Disney. This is a 4K Ultra HD of A Complete Unknown, starring one Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. So this is from director James Mangold, who I have to admit, whenever I first heard about this being made, I had a little bit of a hesitance going into this because there's been so many biopics over the last decade or so, especially where they really kind of feel a little bit soulless. While I sometimes enjoy aspects of them, like the music and everything, the artistry behind bringing an artist's story to life can sometimes just get lost in translation to the screen. So I kind of entered into this one a little bit with my arms folded and just like, okay, let's another biopic. Let's see what it goes. But I should have had a little bit more faith in this one because it is from James Mangold, who has directed one of my favorite musician biopics of all time, and that is Walk the Line. I love that movie. I think it's very good, even though it got parodied by Walk Hard. It's still, the movie itself is still very good, and he does a nice job with this one. It's a different approach to this telling of Bob Dylan. It is more so a specific period in Bob's life, from kind of like him arriving into New York and just his early days, like just getting discovered, up until his like Dylan Goes Electric set at the Newport Folk Festival. I think this is very beneficial to this movie, especially because it does allow you to kind of hone in on the music itself and all of what it kind of tied into his emotions and all of the kind of socio-political stuff going on at the time, and just kind of the how just leading up to this momentous occasion of just like the folk scene transitioning to something into a more of a rock and roll area, and how Dillon kind of fit into that. But compared to other musician films, this doesn't really seek to understand the eccentricities of Bob Dylan that much, because he is a very enigmatic character. But I think Chalamet gives you enough of some of the interiority of Dylan without kind of spelling out what he's all about. I think there's enough there to connect to, and it is one that I ended up actually really enjoying out of last year. And I think it is a very worthy movie, and I understand why it made quite a bit of money around the holiday season whenever it first came out. It's a very entertaining movie, great Bob Dylan songs, terrific Timothy Chalamet performance, maybe even better Monica Barbaro performance as Joan Baez, and Elle Fanning, and all the Edward Norton, all the performers do a really good job of just bringing this story to life. And I am glad that it got a 4K Ultra HD release. I wasn't sure, because since a lot of Searchlight Pictures movies haven't been in recent years, I'm glad this did get one. I'm a little disappointed that it does not come with a slipcover, but otherwise, I'm more happy that it did get a 4K presentation, which has Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos audio. Looks terrific in Dolby Vision. It maintains the picture look very well. Great bold colors, no digital noise, anything like that. Everything looks great. Sounds fantastic. For a movie about Bob Dylan, you want it to have fantastic sound, which it does. You also get a commentary track from James Mangold, which is terrific. I always love hearing him speak. I recently heard him on an episode of WTF with Mark Maron. Great conversation if you want to check that out. A really good kind of technical conversation that gets into his process. You also get an additional 4-part making of featurette, which runs 24 minutes. So overall, pretty decent package here for A Complete Unknown. If you're a fan of the movie, the 4K is the way to go. Really good presentation of a really surprisingly great movie from the end of last year. Yeah, so if you're not fed up of musician biopics, but even if you are, maybe give this one a shot, because it does offer a little bit something different within that kind of framework. My other Best Picture nominee from last year is one of my favorites from last year, and that's from A24, and that is The Brutalist. It's a 4K Ultra HD release from them, starring Best Actor winner Adrian Brody, beating out Timothy Chalamet for the previous movie I was just talking about. This slips out here. You can kind of get the full expanse of this here. This is Adrian Brody playing a Holocaust survivor. He is a Hungarian Jew who immigrates to America to try to make it in America and live the American dream. And all of his struggles with that, and he is an architect and just trying to survive and get his family over here and all that, and eventually meeting a very wealthy benefactor who ends up he has a very complicated relationship with. And here's some of the postcards that come with this. Just a terrific, challenging movie. It is 3.5 hours long. It has a built-in intermission. If you didn't get to see this in theaters, I think it does work at home pretty well. And I would say take that intermission to kind of just decompress for a few minutes. You don't have to use like the full stopping for 15 minutes or anything, but just take a little bit of time to just kind of acclimate before embarking on the second part, because the first part moves at such a breakneck pace, and the second half is a little bit more of a different vibe. But I love the movie in totality, even if it's not like a perfect movie because of the little bit of some of the struggles with the second half. It is a terrific movie, and I love every single minute of the 3.5 hours. It probably would have been my pick, at least to win Best Director for Brady Corbet, but unfortunately he lost out to Sean Baker, who I also really enjoy. So, but as a 4K disc, this is a SDR release. There's no HDR here, and so it's SDR 4K transfer with DTS 5.1 audio. all on one disc. So it's a pretty good handling of the encode of this 3.5 hour movie. Maybe minor things here and there that maybe could have been optimized a little bit better. But overall, this is a really great release. Deep black levels, really filmic looking picture, and just really just nice looking colors and everything. I believe the SDR transfer was probably specifically requested by Courbet because he has such a distinct vision for what he wants the movie to look like. So I think he did not make this with HDR in mind. But it looks great in SDR. And I think even if you you're debating between Blu-ray and 4K, I think the additional disc space for the 4K presentation, if you're 4K capable, I think would probably help with the encode in the end, especially with Blu-ray's limitations. If you're not 4K capable, of course, get the Blu-ray. But the 4K, it's a really nice presentation. You also get a commentary from the director of photography, and you get a 25-minute featurette on the making of the movie, which is also very valuable. You get some good interviews and stuff in there. So one of the great movies of last year, one of the great movies of this decade, in my opinion. If you just like a good old-fashioned epic, like a sweeping epic, definitely make sure to check this one out. Wonderful score, just technically a thrill to watch and just to take in. One of the great performances from Adrien Brody, also of this decade, I would say. Despite him talking entirely too long in his speech, the performance itself was worth it. So Brutalist on 4K from A24, make sure to check that out. My other A24 release that I want to show off wasn't nominated for any awards, but still a really great release at the end of last year. Babygirl, also in 4K, starring Nicole Kidman, Harris Dickinson, and Antonio Banderas. The iconic milk scene, if you've glass of milk scene, if you've seen the movie. So this is Nicole Kidman as a woman who's the head of a company who begins an affair with one of her interns, played by Harris Dickinson, and kind of how that impacts her life over the holiday season. So yes, this is similar to Eyes Wide Shut, also starring Nicole Kidman. This is a very unconventional Christmas movie, but you can watch this anytime, of course. But especially if you want to get into the holiday season, make sure to throw on Babygirl for the whole family. It's a erotic good time. This offers a great chance for Nicole Kidman to continue to show how she is one of the best. Harris Dickinson is also really great, but Antonio Banderas may be the standout of this cast. He hasn't really been given a chance to act in this mode in a while, but he definitely does a good job with it. It's a really intriguing movie about relationships and power dynamics and fulfillment and desire and all that kind of, directed by Helena Rain, who did Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. She continues to do good work in this space. So overall, really enjoyed this movie. This is a 4K release with HDR. It's in Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos audio. So it goes full force. Wonderful colors, especially like I said, some of the Christmas lights. Looks great in Dolby Vision. Dolby Atmos has a really expansive audio soundscape and just makes every environment sound very full and rich and everything. In terms of special feature, there's a good amount. You do get a commentary track. You get 2 featurettes, 11 and 9 minutes, and then a good amount of deleted scenes. So this delivers technically on all fronts, audiovisual wise, special features, everything. Babygirl, really good release from A24. Going to more of an indie label, but a recent release is from Music Box Films, and we have Good Bad Things. And this one I'm especially loving showing off because you may see that there is a Geek Vibes Nation pull quote here from one of my colleagues, Phil Walsh, talking about how great this movie is. So I edited that review back whenever it was first published, and he gave this a rave review, so I was very excited to check this out. And I have to agree, it's a really great movie from Music Box Films. This is a movie with a main character with a disability. He has muscular dystrophy. Compared to a lot of movies with a character with a disability, it's not completely hinged on that as like a narrative focus. There is a bit of him trying to accept himself, but and kind of like his place in as like a romantic interest and just like living in the world and everything. Everyone's trying to find their way in general, but he specifically just like is going on this journey mixed within kind of the normal romantic comedy-esque framework where it's he works at a company that like develops apps and stuff. He has to join this dating app to test it out, ends up matching with this woman and kind of like starts having a relationship with him, and how that kind of like unlocks something in him. And there's like a really nice connection between them that I really enjoy. Really heartwarming, rewarding, a lot of great character work within this one. Maybe not perfect in its depiction of certain things, but overall really great, very strong release. Just really, really appreciated this one. It's just kind of something different, just offering a different point of view though, of a lot of things that were on my plate, especially the last couple of weeks. And it's a really good Blu-ray presentation. Really, Blu-ray looks great. Nice textures, nice bold saturation colors. Great audio presentation, good number of special features, including 2 panels that are each 30 minutes plus in length. So some of the key figures like directors, performers, everyone talking about the movie. And then there's another hour-long virtual discussion between director and star. So some really lengthy deep dives into this. One of the panels is hosted by Rami Youssef, who he was in Poor Things. He also had a show on Hulu. And then the other one was by Sean Heder, who directed the Best Picture winner Coda. Make sure to check this one out from Music Box Films. It's a little under radar gem that you'll definitely not want to pass up. Going over to one of the bigger releases from the first quarter of this year. I know a lot of people really love this one. I was really excited to finally check it out. This is from Warner Brothers. It is the 4K Ultra HD release of Companion. Now, this is a horror, thriller, sci-fi film. I don't want to give away too much just for those like myself who don't watch trailers. And even a lot of the synopses do not give away what exactly is going on in this one. I will just say it involves like some couples going away to a remote location for like kind of like a romantic getaway, and how things kind of spiral out of control once they're there. There's a lot dealing with like technology and relationships, power dynamics, toxic masculinity, female empowerment. All these kind of things are kind of wrapped into this kind of twisted thriller sci-fi tale. This is from the producers, not the director, but from the producer, like production team that did Barbarian. So that's also kind of a twisty film that has like a lot to offer. So that kind of gives you a reason like to go into this blind. But bloody good time, lots of like women covered in blood in a positive way. And just death and people. Sophie Thatcher, amazing. You have Jack Quaid, who's had a very big year so far this year, really weaponizing his charm in a very specific way in this movie. And Lucas Gage, a lot of good people in this one. So if you are into kind of like a bloody horror thriller time, Companion, delightful, fun, just one of the highlights of this first part of the year. This comes in an HDR10 presentation from Warner, and it has Atmos soundtrack. So the HDR10 looks really great, consistent colors, everything's saturated very well. Lots of like terrific texture, and the Atmos track is very expansive and just really makes every location thrive. And then in terms of special features, you get 3 brief featurettes that kind of goes into some of the themes of the movie. One of which will kind of tip you off into what kind of movie this is. So maybe wait before you look at any of the titles of the special features if you're going to this blind. But otherwise, just really fun time at the movies. Companion, check it out if you're a horror fan. Also from Warner Brothers, getting a 4K upgrade, a movie from a few years ago, Best Picture nominee, Judas and the Black Messiah. This was a movie that was released on Blu-ray after its theatrical release. But finally, we're getting this on 4K, as it always should have been. This is what won Daniel Kaluuya a Best Supporting Actor prize. You have Lakeith Stanfield here as a a man who is going undercover at the behest of some of the authorities into the Black Panther Party and trying to gather information and all the kind of the drama that happens whenever he is undercover. All the political friction between like the Black Panther Party and them trying to fight for social justice, and the cops who are very wary of kind of their style of activism and what that all kind of means, and the corruption and all that kind of stuff. Fantastic movie, one of the better ones of this the year this came out. I really enjoyed this. I host a Sundance themed podcast, and this played at Sundance, and it was definitely a highlight of the year it played Sundance as well. This always should have had a 4K release. I don't know why it took several years to get to this place, but I think it is worth the wait. Dolby Vision presentation, Dolby Atmos soundtrack. Sounds fantastic, looks terrific, and this is an improvement over the old Blu-ray, which there's not a Blu-ray included. I pulled out my old Blu-ray that I reviewed for GeekVibesNation.com. This is a really nice upgrade up from that on both visual and sound quality. No new special features. All these special features are carried over, which are just a couple of featurettes. But overall, just a really nice upgrade for this one. So if you're a fan of this movie, 4K is the way to go. Just really stylized movie that looks great on 4K. Another movie that's taken even longer to get to 4K, unless you imported it from overseas earlier. This is the beloved sequel from Warner Brothers, Paddington 2 on 4K Ultra HD. This is another one I had on Blu-ray that is a really nice upgrade. This is one of the most like critically beloved movies that exist. I had like a perfect rating almost on Rotten Tomatoes for the longest time. Just like generally one of the most highly acclaimed movies of our generation. And I think it's just because it's so lovely. It's Paddington taking everything that worked about the first movie and fine-tuning it into its like most ideal state. It's just a very charming movie. It's like, it feels like a warm hug. You have Hugh Grant as a villain, which is always fun. And just, there are stakes here, but it all kind of feels very cozy. And just him trying to earn the money to buy a present for like a beloved family member, and just him getting framed for certain crimes and going to jail and all the, it's a wild time in the world of Paddington 2. But I understand why people loved it for so long. It took me a long time to finally watch this one, but it was definitely worth it. On 4K, looks great. Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos soundtrack. Really, really good stuff. Especially for like a lighter like family movie. It looks great on 4K. I hope we get the first one on 4K at some point. And then the third one is, I believe, was just announced for Blu-ray only from Sony. Hopefully we'll eventually also get that on 4K sometime. But for this second one from Warner Brothers, it looks very good. You have all the previous special features. There is a commentary track and 7 featurettes. So lots of looking at this movie at several different angles. So Paddington 2, check that one out. Staying in the family film era, going over to Universal, we had the new release of Dogman. So this is based on a book series, from what I understand, that I really knew nothing about this before this movie just kind of dropped in January, and had a pretty decent box office haul. But I never really heard that many people talk about it. Like, just because I don't have a lot of friends with kids that were seeing this movie, but I was very, very surprised by how much I like this movie. I'm a friend of family films. I like a good lighthearted jaunt and just like to be entertained. And yes, this is geared towards a younger audience for sure, but I had a lot of fun with this. It's very witty. It's very hyperactive. If you've seen something on the levels of like a Mitchell's versus the Machines, you'll kind of get an idea of just like how kinetic and kind of like overwhelming, like in a sensorial perspective it can be. It's just a lot just like thrown at you. But if you can keep up with it, it's very funny. A lot of witty humor. Like from the beginning, I was surprised by like how many like little jokes were in there for adults. And in terms of for horror fans, this is like one of the most unexpected kind of body horror titles that I'm talking about this week, because it is about a man and a dog who have to basically combine bodies. Like there's like a horrific accident at the beginning of this movie where this policeman, he basically passes away and the dog's body is no longer able to be used. So they kind of just like the surgeon team just kind of graft the dog head onto the man's body, and hence Dog Man. It's wild stuff for like that. This is a family movie, but you just kids roll with it. They think it's silly and stuff. I grew up with Cat Dog. I kind of get it. It's just like very like, if you start to think about it, it's a very weird concept, but a lot of fun stuff happening in here. Pete Davidson as the villain, who has like all kinds of issues. There's also family dynamics going on with like unexpected friendships and found family, all that kind of stuff. Isla Fisher as a reporter, and just really great talented vocal cast throughout here. Very surprising, even if you aren't like the target audience for this, like young kids. If you just have like a good sense of humor and you're like open to kind of all kind of types of humor, check out Dogman, because it was surprisingly quite funny and short, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. Blu-ray release looks really good. Bright, bold colors, looks fantastic. In terms of the audio, you get a Dolby True HD 7.1. I wish this was a 4K release. I'd love to get a Dolby Atmos track and a full Dolby Vision presentation. Maybe one day that'll happen. But for a Blu-ray release, it does a really nice job. A really nice array of special features. Commentary track, very insightful. Lots of deleted scenes, featurettes, how to draw certain tutorials. Family audiences, definitely check out Dogman. It will be a hit with younger audiences, but potentially older audiences as well. I was a little less enthused by my next Universal title, which did get a 4K release. That is Love Hurts, starring Ki Hee Kwan and Ariana DeBose. This is... I love Ki Hee Kwan. First seen probably in The Goonies or Temple of Doom. And most recently winning an Oscar in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And this is kind of the result of him getting that newfound popularity from his Oscar win and what he can do with that. And what that is in this case is him getting an action vehicle, which isn't as odd as it may seem on paper. He did kick a lot of butt on Everything Everywhere All at Once, but also another person I recently listened to on WTF, like for several years, whenever he kind of got out of the acting game, he was like a stunt coordinator, and like he like was deeply in that world. He kind of knows and has trained in all of this. So it's not a completely foreign thing for him to kind of get into this mode of kicking butt and just really diving into things. Kind of a classic tale of like someone who is like out of the game being pulled back in through extraordinary circumstances to kind of protect the people that he loves and stuff like that. Set around Valentine's Day, so it's a Valentine's Day movie, but lots of action and romance and all that kind of stuff that just never really clicks like it should. I think it works what little it does because of the cast. Like I said, love Key. I love Marshawn Lynch has a really good role, like a supporting role in this one, and he's steadily been adding little supporting roles that have been very memorable. Ariana DeBose is another recent Oscar winner for West Side Story, whose career is just kind of like, what's going on with you, girl? Like, you need a little bit more. Like, you have so much promise, but every project she shows up in just really doesn't seem right. There's also like a forced romance to this that's very unfortunate in my opinion. I think kind of there's no chemistry involved, and there's a pretty stark age gap that just never really works. If you like action and just like kind of mindless fun, there is enough there to maybe make it a passable watch on that way. Or if you just like the performers like I do, I thought it was fine, but will I remember this like after this next week? Probably not. I have a lot in my head, and this just didn't make the biggest impression. So love these performers, want all the best for them. This just wasn't the most memorable movie. It's just kind of like almost like cinematic white noise. Like, I had a decent time while watching it, but it will not stick with me. But the 4K presentation does look really good. It's in Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos audio, really hard-hitting stuff. Like, Dolby Atmos really springs to life. You get an alternate ending, some deleted scenes, various featurettes. So overall, really good presentation for Love Hurts. I just wish the movie itself was better. It's also very, very short, under 90 minutes by a good margin. And this may be one of the times where maybe if a little bit more more character moments and stuff could have fleshed it out a little bit, maybe I would have had a little bit more emotional connection. But as it is, it's just a kind of forgettable movie that with a really good 4K presentation. So if that interests you, if that cast interests you enough, check out Love Hurts. Otherwise, maybe try before you buy. A little bit more successful version of this formula, but still not hitting it out of the park, is from Lionsgate, the 4K Ultra HD, Mark Wahlberg and Flight Risk. Now, there's several kind of like problematic people attached to this one. Directed by Mel Gibson, starring Mark Wahlberg. But I was interested in this for like has co-stars Michelle Dockery and Topher Grace. I think Michelle Dockery does a pretty nice job in this one. Not her best work, obviously, but she kind of grounds this in something at least a little bit more believable about an agent. She plays an agent taking a prisoner into custody and getting on chartering a flight flown by Mark Wahlberg's character. And then in the middle of the flight, learning that maybe he has his own secrets that ties to this prisoner who is going to testify on behalf of someone who's very important. So it's kind of like this very tense situation that has been set up to happen in midair, and just kind of like how that kind of unfolds once they get up in the air and all the kind of hell breaks loose. For as good as the premise of this is, it never quite capitalizes on the unhinged fun that could be associated with this. There's some good stuff in here, especially on the action front. If you kind of like dude movies or something, if you were someone who likes like the Den of Thieves movies or something, like if you like kind of like dudes rock movies, Flight Risk I think is a decent mindless time. I think more so than Love Hurts. But still not like the cinematic delight that I kind of like hope for. It's not like a high-minded action movie. It's just kind of like meat and potatoes action. And if you're in for that mood, Flight Risk does a decent job. It could do better. Mark Wahlberg really hamming it up to a 10. You saw that insane hairline that has, I was surprised he kind of like allowed them to do that kind of character work. So yeah, overall, decent fun if you can kind of like compartmentalize a couple different things, but definitely not the strongest action movie from this year so far. This comes in HDR10 and Atmos, has an Atmos track. HDR10 looks nice. It's a really crisp looking transfer. Atmos sounds great, especially with like the hum of an airplane engine pretty consistently. Works really well in Dolby Atmos. You also get an 8-minute featurette and nothing else really. So not stacked with special features, but pretty fine release for Flight Risk if you're in its target demo. But if you really want some unhinged fun, may I suggest you really go all out and go to the new Arrow Video release. I'm going over to the boutique labels. The Arrow Video release of The Cinema Essentials, Bullets and Betrayal. This is a thick 9-film set of basically direct-to-video action movies from Japan in the like late 80s into early 90s. For those who know about Toei and Japanese cinema, you may be aware of this kind of trend of movies, but this was kind of a learning experience for me. I'm not going to go movie by movie, but I will just show most of these are double features on disc. So first you have Crime Hunter, Bullets of Rage on the same disc as Neo Chimpira, Zoom Goes the Bullet. So kind of show, so that's the interior, and you can reversible cover art to get that other artwork, and you also get a couple of postcards here. So got these here and these here. Yes, so Crime Hunter, Bullets of Rage, and Neo Chimpira, Zoom Goes the Bullet, followed by Stranger and Carlos. So Stranger is the outside cover art, and then open it up to look at the Carlos presentation. So there's the disc, and then underneath you get the Carlos reversible cover art here. Also get the same kind of postcards, art cards for here. So got that here, and then there. So that's the first 4 movies, and then the next disc we have Burning Dog and Female Prisoner Scorpion Death Threat. So you got Burning Dog here, and then the disc here. Fans of Japanese cinema may have heard of the Female Prisoner Scorpion series. This is a sequel to that series, hosted on this disc in this set. And then you have art cards here. Got that. And that. Next up, we have the 2 films, The Hitman, Blood Smells Like Roses, and Danger Point, The Road to Hell. So that's the first cover art. Open that up to see the disc inside here. And then see the cover art underneath. Then I'll show off these little last postcards. And one final film in this set, XX Beautiful Hunter. So we got that here and here. This also has reversible cover art, but it's for the same movie. So got the disc art here. Take the disc out. You can see reversible cover art here. And one postcard for this for the one movie, which I will show off here. So that's the 9 movies in this set. Like I said, I won't go deep into each one of these. I will just say these really have a lot of similar themes and everything. They are tales of revenge. There are some heist films in here. There are like prisoner films in here, like undercover prisoner films. There are just all kinds of stuff, like lots of great essays in this book here. So yeah, a nice thick booklet here. Just a lot of great premises for like classic, kind of trashy in a good way, complimentary action films, thriller films of this era. They may not all be like the highest of high quality, but as I kind of learned through like watching the special features and reading the essays and stuff, this really, while like it's conceived by Toei as just kind of like easy money makers on the home video market, just churning out stuff that people could just like rent en masse and just really blow up. This was really taken seriously by the filmmakers themselves. And this, I usually have an issue with shot on video stuff for like horror films. I'm not sure if that's exactly what this is, because I would not say this is shot on video if I were to guess. But even if it is, it's the best shot on video content I've ever seen, quality wise. But these really, while having kind of like a cheesiness to them at times or over the top nature, this really did allow the filmmakers to push some boundaries, because they were not kind of had these walls around them of like knowing that they were going to get a theatrical release, and just kind of some of the limitations that might have put upon them. Are these all high art? No. But are they fun? Yeah, they're pretty damn fun. And if you kind of like direct-to-video action, like cheesy action movies, there's a lot of good stuff in here, and even not so cheesy stuff in here to check out. And so, like I said, 9 films, new HD transfers provided by Toei, which, like as I mentioned, look terrific. If you told me these were from a film source, I would believe you. From what I understand, these weren't shot on film, but if not, they are some of the best upscales or whatever they are that I've ever seen. Really, really like yes, there are limitations. There are kind of moments where they don't look pristine, but in terms of what I expected and compared to what I got, it's a really, really beautiful presentation with just some small anomalies here and there that just don't, that's a source issue. Original language tracks, all that good stuff. Original audio is provided. Tons of special features. Intros to every film. You get different interviews and video essays, all kinds of stuff kind of digging into this content. I showed you the essay, and I believe one of the films has a commentary track as well. A really, really beautiful set from Arrow Video. I believe that this one does well. We'll probably be getting more V Cinema movies. So if you like this kind of subgenre, make sure to support Arrow Video in their release of this. They've put a lot of love into these movies that people never really expected to get such treatment. So make sure to support them because it's a really, really nice release from Arrow Video. My next title from Arrow Video is another hotly anticipated title, probably much more well known by most people. That is a 4K Ultra HD release of The Long Kiss Goodnight from director Renny Harlin, written by Shane Black. So this is the second Renny Harlin movie in as many months. I just talked about Deep Blue Sea last month, and this is another Renny Harlin effort. So this is a reversible cover art. The other side of the cover art is this. I won't kind of take the time to turn that around, but that's just on the other side of this. 2-disc release. One with the main feature in 4K with special features, and then a whole disc for special features. You get some nice little extras in here. You get a little kind of sticker thing here that relates to the movie. You get a postcard here, Samuel L. Jackson's character and stuff. So apologies for the language for those who are reading that. And then a nice booklet here that just has some essays and all kinds of stuff in here. So this is another, like Babygirl, unconventional Christmas movie set during the Christmas season. But another really fun action movie about a woman who has been living a suburban lifestyle ever since kind of washing up with amnesia several years ago, ends up getting into an accident, kind of starts bringing back her old memories of her old life, quickly learns that she was a CIA assassin, and all hell breaks loose. And that involves getting in league with Samuel L. Jackson's character to kind of get to the bottom of certain revelations. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie. But basically, Gina Davis playing a badass female assassin. What more do you really want than that? It is a Shane Black script, so there's a lot of dialogue that really is dated and was kind of cringeworthy at times. But if you set that aside, it is a pretty fun action movie, and I have a deep love for Gina Davis. Always love Samuel L. Jackson, so for that reason alone, it is a fun watch, and I will definitely be watching this again come this Christmas season, just to watch it properly during the holidays. But watching it now, it's a really fun movie, and I'm glad this got a 4K release through Arrow Video's collaborations with Warner Brothers. And it's a really, really rich presentation here. You get a new 4K restoration from the original camera negative in Dolby Vision, and 3 audio options, which includes a new Dolby Atmos track, a DTS 5.1 track, and a DTS 2.0 stereo track. So 3 different audio options for any of your audio needs. I think most people will be satisfied with one of those options, and it's a great release. Dolby Vision, the restoration looks terrific. Really, really pleased with Arrow Video was able to do with this one. 2 different commentary tracks, and that is on the feature disc of the first disc. We head over to the second disc. We get 3 new interviews, 3 visual essays, deleted scenes, and all the previous archival feature. And so lots of stuff on the second disc that tackles this movie from different angles. I know it's a classic to a lot of people, and if you like the movie, definitely a big upgrade from the old Blu-ray that I used to first watch this movie a couple years ago for the first time. 4K, definitely a good step up from Arrow Video, in addition to all the special features and audio and all that good stuff. So Long Kiss Goodnight, premium Arrow content. I think a lot of people will be very happy with this one. Heading over to one of my favorite labels. They release only a couple things each year, but each time it's something special. And the first one from Arbaos is The Bloody Lady and other works from Victor Kubal. So this is a pretty cool animated feature that it's kind of a twisted fairy tale of a girl who is like she's a princess who kind of gets lost on a journey one day, gets rescued by a woodsman, and whenever to show her appreciation, she gives the woodsman her heart. But whenever she returns to her palace and everything, she soon realizes that by sacrificing her heart, she is required to basically take the blood of the people around her kind of vampirically in order to stay young and beautiful and all that kind of stuff. So it is a twist on kind of the Dracula tale. Twisted fairy tale animation. You have some animated nudity in here. You have some bloody violence. It's not super over the top, but there's enough mature content that you might want to be careful with what audiences you watch this around. I would not say it's meant for kids, but if you're just a fan of animation, this is a really, really cool one. You get a whole additional feature on this one as well, and you also get tons of short films. You get 21 short films. So in terms of Victor Kubal's output, you could not ask for more. And this comes from a 4K restoration of the original camera negative. It looks terrific. Everything's natural and no egregious DNR or erasing the texture of any of the cells. Everything looks great. Sounds great. The score sounds fantastic. The restored shorts and other feature also look great. So just a really loaded release, surprisingly loaded. Even though it kind of if you just kind of glance at this, it might not seem super stacked, but it is really just one of the more impressive releases I'm going to be talking about on this episode. Arbaos did a really nice job on this one. It's a very, very interesting discovery that I highly recommend if you're a fan of animated films that skew more to the mature side of things. Heading over to another epic box set. This time we're going over to Eureka, and we have a really cool set from Germany. Mabuse Lives. Dr. Mabuse at CCC 1960 to 1964. So there are 6 films from this classic series, which I did not know a lot about before tackling this. So back in the day, back in the early days of Fritz Lang, he made 2 Mabuse films, which I have not seen. And then decades later, he came back here in 1960 and kind of kickstarted this series again and kind of recontextualized the character. And then the people at CCC, they kind of continued after Fritz Lang's return to pump out these movies. So here, the first disc here, we have A Thousand Eyes of Dr. Mabuse here. So that goes with that. And then on the second disc, we have The Return of Dr. Mabuse and The Invisible Dr. Mabuse. I'm going based on what I heard in various special features. That's how I pronounce it. But this is a classic German character. But Dr. Mabuse, for those who don't know, he's kind of like a supervillain-esque character, where he's just kind of always causing the authorities problems. Here on the third disc, we have The Testament of Dr. Mabuse, and Scotland Yard Hunts Dr. Mabuse. And then the final disc is The Death Ray of Dr. Mabuse. So this is a man always getting into things. The first film from Fritz Lang, or first film in a set from Fritz Lang, is definitely the strongest of these and the most like respectable, for lack of a better word, of these movies. And the rest of the movies, they kind of are various levels of pulpy. I would compare them to like some of the less serious efforts of like a James Bond movie. And as you can like hear, like whenever you hear about like laser rays and stuff, or in like invisibility, you know that some of these efforts can get a little strange. And like a lot of these movies are like the police like trying to figure out how these crimes are being committed by this kind of like phantom man, and like what is actually happening. Like, how is he controlling things from being like while he is incarcerated, or how can he get into this like type? It's like that type of like mystery of like what is happening with this evil genius, basically. And it's a lot of fun. If you like crime films in all of its pulpy glory, Eureka delivers with these 6 films. Like I said, some are better than others, but if you like the genre at large, this is a fantastic set. It's a lot of fun. So you get 6 films that were restored by CCC over in Germany. These look very good. Really nice presentations. Not a lot in the way of lingering specks or scratches or anything like that. Just really nice, consistent work from the studio. You had the original German for all of these, and a lot of these have English dubs as well. Introductions to all the films, and just tons of special features, including certain audio commentary tracks, visual essays, interviews. They really went all out with special features and making sure this was as technically brilliant as possible. So a lot of what we've been getting from Eureka recently has been like Hong Kong cinema and everything. It's nice for them to go back to their Masters of Cinema series, as you can see here, which at least over in America here, because like they started out with like The Cat and the Canary, but since then we haven't really capitalized on what the line can really offer outside of Hong Kong cinema. So it's really nice to get this Mabuse set in America. So continue to support them with all their amazing releases. They've done a really nice job with this one. Loaded with special features. Looks great. Sounds great. Really an all-star set from Eureka. But I'm not going to sit here and badmouth Hong Kong cinema, because I have a trio of Hong Kong films from our friends at 88 Films. We have a trio of titles. We have The Lady is the Boss, An Amorous Woman of Tang Dynasty, and Hong Kong, Hong Kong. And this is a really nice, diverse slate. The most, I would say, traditional of like these Shaw Brothers outings is The Lady is the Boss. This is like a classic action comedy about and the Americanized daughter of the master of a temple coming over from America and taking over this training facility, and things, her really just throwing the whole thing out of whack, because it's like a fish out of water tale. But I really quite like this. Lots of great action and some decently funny moments of just like a lot of Shaw Brothers favorites just kind of getting together, having fun, and just really just showing off what they can do on like with all their technical prowess. Not overly complicated, but just a nice action comedy, good performances. So yeah, The Lady is the Boss. Nice HD transfer from the original materials, original negative from the Celestial Pictures. You get the original Cantonese audio, sounds great. You get a commentary track and an archival interview. So nice work on Lady is the Boss. Nice natural transfer. Sound is as strong as it can be. So these aren't, it's not like a perfect video transfer, but everything looks very nice. No major warping or damage or anything like that. Just a nice consistent transfer, which is pretty much holds true for all 3 of these, including my next one, which is an amorous woman of Tang Dynasty. This is about a woman who, it's going to get a little bit racy here, so not safe for work. It's about a woman who, like in this period, it's a period piece. She is not content to just like do what is expected of her, basically, and just kind of her kind of rebelling against her status in society and just all that kind of great stuff. So there's some action in here, but it is more kind of period piece drama that really kind of is looking at kind of like the place of like femininity and desire in this kind of more patriarchal framework and everything. So I enjoyed this one quite a bit. Out of the three, it's maybe my least favorite, but I still quite enjoyed it, and it's a good one. Good change of pace from 88 Pictures. This does have the original Cantonese and commentary track and archival interview. So yeah, all good. HD transfer, everything that I said about the last release can apply to this one, which will also apply to the next one, which is Hong Kong. This is more of a contemporary drama about a girl from mainland China who's like made it over to Hong Kong and then trying to kind of make her way in the world, and her coming across this other guy who's also trying to kind of make his way in the world, and he's a boxer, and there's a lot of like social drama within this, of just like what you must sacrifice in order to try to survive in the world, and there's a lot of like societal things going on regarding like people being in Hong Kong illegally and how they can like secure a better life for themselves and stuff. There's a lot here. I think if you know some of more of the actual political history of the country and everything than of the society, you might get a little bit more out of this. But I think the movie does a nice job of like setting you up with just enough knowledge to kind of understand what's going on and just like what these characters are struggling with. So this is more of a straight up drama outside of the boxing scenes. But I think this one might actually be my favorite of the three. This or The Lady is the Boss. Both are very good. But HD transfer, courtesy of Celestial Pictures, holds up pretty well. Not perfect, but overall good. Commentary track and interview as well. So nice into my 88 Films run here. Heading over to another top tier release from one of my favorite labels, Radiance Films. We have a nice trilogy. My last major box set of like more than one film. It is a release of Hardboiled, 3 pulp thrillers by Alain Corneau. So unlike a lot of their box sets, so you can see that there, that just kind of, this OBI strip just comes off. I'll tuck that into my release whenever I put it away. But unlike a lot of the box sets from Radiance, this actually includes all the films in one case. That usually each film has its own case. But as someone who is always lacking shelf space, I don't really mind this, and the way they package it is pretty good. So we have Police Python 357, Série Noire, and then finally we have Choice of Arms, which I will show. That's reversible there. So the 3 films are kind of overlapping without touching. So nice compact release here of 3 very interesting movies. And then Police Python 357. That one might be my favorite. It involves like 2 police officers who happen to be involved with the same woman and unaware that each of them are involved with the same woman. One kind of loses it one night and loses it one night and kills the lady. But they both have their own reasons for wanting to not be associated with this woman because that like they have like a suspicion that would be cast upon them based on everything. So it's like these two people who are each not trying to get implicated for the murder of this woman, and but they are each in charge of the investigation in certain ways. So it's like kind of like an interesting thriller, like going back and forth of the each of them trying to cover their tracks, one of which is actually guilty, one of which would just be like hard pressed to explain away every single thing that makes him look guilty, and just how that kind of unfolds. It's a really gripping, nice 2-hour thriller that had me enticed the entire time. Série Noire. It involves a man who is trying to save a young sex worker, and the only way he can seem to do that is to potentially invoke a plan of murder where they can like run away together, and like he can save her and he can make a bunch of money and all kinds of stuff. And then just like how this pretty insane protagonist, like how he's just, it's one of the most eccentric performances I've seen in quite some time. And it has to be seen to be believed. And it's just a really, it's hard to explain how this movie made me feel at times, because it just like, it made me feel like I was high at times, and without even taking any substances. Because like this character would be acting in certain ways, and I'm just like, what am I experiencing right now? But overall, I did really enjoy it. I think it's really good. And then the final film, also really good. 3 bangers for this one. The Choice of Arms. I got tripped up because there's only the French title on the back, so I got a little tripped up. Choice of Arms. That was a pretty solid one. It involves like some criminals trying to go like trying to lay low at a former criminal's place, and how things kind of bubble over whenever all these people are under one roof, and just all the kind of things that happen underneath between just all these individuals. And it's very engaging, interesting, just really, really great work. I love Radiance Films. They always seem to like dial in specifically to my taste, especially with like their Italian and French movies. This is a very entertaining trilogy, very much worth every dollar that you would want to support this with. Really entertaining stuff throughout. These are 3 HD transfers from Studio Corneau. They all look fantastic. I'm very pleased with how everything looks, and everything sounds pretty solid as well. No major shortcomings. You get archival interviews, you get visual essays, you get commentary tracks, you get a documentary. Overall, Radiance Films, they're just one of the best in the game. They have been ever since they debuted a couple years ago, and I say always support them. They're terrific. A really nice release from Synapse Films we have here for Blue Sunshine. So this is a nice box set here, and this card comes off here to reveal this back cover art. This is not how I usually see my Synapse Films releases, so I'm very impressed by this packaging, because this is just a very nice release here. Comes out, and you have a thick release that is covered by a slip cover here. So that comes out, and that is the cover art underneath this really thick slip cover here. You get a 3-disc release. You get a 4K release, you get a Blu-ray release, and you get the soundtrack. The original soundtrack here of Blue Sunshine. You get an essay here of this small booklet. You get a poster here, which is pretty cool as well. This ties into what the movie is about a little bit, which is it involves people who took a drug back in this movie's timeline, like several years ago, called Blue Sunshine. They are starting to experience symptoms that are causing them to go kind of into like a murderous fugue state. Certain people, i.e. our protagonists here, trying to track down the truth and figure out how to stop like what is going on and figure out what is going on. And most of the people end up being kind of like these bald psychos who are just like murderous. And It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I watched this late at night one night, and it just like, it didn't creep me out, but I found it very engaging, and like I just was gripped from the beginning to end. Really nice use of like tension and like just establishing just kind of this world and everything. It's kind of like feels mildly dystopian without going full tilt into it. And there's just a lot of unsettling stuff in here. So yeah, Blue Sunshine, as a movie, it's very good. And this 4K presentation is terrific. You do get this from a new 4K restoration of the original 35mm camera negative. In Dolby Vision, you get a mono track and a 5.1 track, 2 commentary tracks, some interviews, some Q&As, an anti-drug short, and more. So this is packed with special features and additional like short films and all kinds of stuff. Synapse Films, they really showed off with this one, from the packaging to the presentation, and with the soundtrack and everything. Just top-notch release from Synapse Films for Blue Sunshine. And then I'm going to end with a pair of documentaries, the first of which is from MVD Entertainment and Lightbulb Entertainment, and that is Welcome to the Darkness. This is about the rock band The Darkness from the early 2000s. This is a group probably best known for a song called I Believe in a Thing Called Love. But this movie, it's a lot of fun. You don't have to know about The Darkness in order to have fun with this one. I've seen a lot of people describe this as like kind of like a real life Spinal Tap. And I can kind of see where they're coming from. If you've seen Anvil, the story of Anvil, it kind of has a similar vibe where it's a very hilarious, like hilarious movie about individuals who can be kind of very colorful personalities, to be kind, and just their downfall, like whenever they're like one of the biggest bands, like in their time and their genre. And their downfall and their attempts to kind of like make a comeback, and like how things like get in their way, and just like it's very amusing stuff, and just like it also gives you a good insight into the band as well, and just like what made them special, why like their plight to gain relevance again should interest you or whatever. It's a lot of fun. My only minor criticisms with this one is it can be a little bit difficult to kind of parse time periods and stuff, and like it's a little bit erratic at times, and maybe could have been a little bit more informative, I guess. But as an entertaining movie about a rock band, I think you get a pretty good amount of information. You get a good like baseline, and it's just very entertaining for casual fans. So this is a really, really good watch for anyone. But if you're a fan of The Darkness, especially, I don't think I'll have to convince you. You should check it out. Good Blu-ray presentation. Looks really nice. Audio sounds good. You get 64 minutes of additional material that didn't make the movie for when the special features. So make sure to check out Welcome to the Darkness. It's a fun time. And then my final film is from Zeitgeist Films in collaboration with Kino Lorber. It is Liza, a truly terrific, absolutely true story. This is about the one and only Liza Minnelli, daughter of Judy Garland, and just all around mega talent on her own. This is Liza in her own words, or as well as various people who have known her over the years, giving interviews and kind of giving a little bit of context to Liza's life, especially post Judy Garland's death, and just like her trying to like exist in the world and kind of wrestle with how people view her in comparison to her mother and all that kind of stuff. There is a little bit of like the Judy Garland factor that I don't think the movie goes into as much. I think with direct participation of a still living Liza Minnelli, there's only so many, I think there's certain topics maybe she's not completely comfortable commenting on, but I still think it's a very valuable portrait of an artist I think everyone should know. If you don't know about Liza Minnelli, make sure to just learn about her. She's a fascinating lady. While she is still here, make sure to appreciate her. She's great. And I love her. And I think this documentary actually could have spent a little bit more time actually focused on Liza, because some of the interviewers who are important to Liza's life sometimes steal focus a little bit in a way that I kind of just wanted more Liza. But overall, it's a good documentary, and I found it very entertaining, especially as someone who does love her very much. And yeah, I'm glad this was made, and I'm glad it got a Blu-ray release. It looks really nice. Very different types of sources over the years. Some sources look great. Some sources have a little bit of shortcomings, but overall, as a feature, looks really great and consistent. It's pretty much the best material can look. At the time it was made, and it was just put out in a couple months ago. And you get a good number of special features as well, including a commentary track, outtakes, a Q&A. Sounds great as well. Overall, Zeitgeist Films did a good job with this Liza documentary, so make sure to check it out if it sounds interesting to you in the slightest. So that is my show. Lots of huge releases this week, some to get very excited about. Make sure to tell me what you are most excited to check out in the comments. I always love hearing from you. I want to know what you want me to talk about. Just leave a comment. If there's something else you want me to talk about, leave it in the comments. I'll try to cover that in a future episode. Make sure you share this with anyone you think might be interested in any of these titles, or just is a physical media enthusiast in general, because I love to talk physical media with you. Make sure you're subscribed and like and everything. Just anything to support us is very much appreciated. I love doing this for you every week. I will be back again next week, but until next time, enjoy these movies.